Hey, this is Eve from quirkybirdwords.wordpress.com, and I'm here today to tell you about my story of becoming disabled with mental illness and my journey to recovery. This has been inspired by the Each Mind Matters, California's mental health movement, and I've written a lot about my experience, but I have yet to make a video, so totally outside my comfort zone, but in the spirit of sharing and joining the voices of others to help break the stigma in our communities. Here we go. 1 in 4 is challenged with a mental illness. I am not one. In 2010, I triggered with psychogenic non-epileptic seizures and post-traumatic stress disorder. Before becoming mentally disabled, I was an online designer, social media guru, and nationally syndicated blogger. After the trigger, I lost 6 years of memory, day-to-day tracking of time, and the ability to talk and be understood. And my cognitive abilities dissipated at a rapid rate. I also struggled with body tics, tremors, seizures, and chronic struck by lightning pain. At one point, I needed help with mobility and basic self-care. If that wasn't challenging enough, the stigma of having mental illness permeated every aspect of life. During the darker days, my words didn't hold merit, even with my doctors. People would talk in front of me as if I wasn't there. They would discuss my life, my history, and what they thought was wrong with me. My stutter, inability to hold my body still, and other physical factors. Made it appear I was intellectually unable to understand. What I learned from family members is I didn't realize I could understand them. They thought I was mentally absent. Rather, they thought that I wasn't mentally present. And yeah, sometimes I wasn't rooted in this dimension, but often I understood what was going on around me. The stigma interfered with every aspect of life. Even on the most basic social interactions. Often, when I answered a question, others questioned my answer. How could I make a good life choice when I was mentally ill? Many treated my decisions as deranged. They knew what was better for me, and I felt like a burden. And that my contributions had zero merit. For some years, I was bounced between mental health professionals and doctors. I didn't argue my diagnosis, but I also couldn't find appropriate treatment. When I asked my 5th neurologist how I could have a better quality of life, he scratched his head and showed me to the door. on the mental health side, my psychiatrist didn't know how to help. They'd never seen anyone like me before in their practice. The honesty was really refreshing, but it wasn't helpful. And the treatment ended up being a shotgun approach to medication and a weekly therapy session. By 2012, I couldn't see an end to the nightmares, the physical pain, and the mind monsters. Thoughts of suicide, ideation, set in. The compulsion felt like a beast churning under my skin. And I'd get flashes, visually, flashes of how it could be done. And I knew then that I needed hospitalization to survive. At that point, I went into the community behavioral care center, received treatment, but it was like a band-aid. Like a band-aid on a bullet wound. But it did stick long enough for me to find another doctor who would listen. And then she referred me to the Bay Area for more specialized help. My recovery and wellness journey began in 2013 with a stay at Stanford Mental Health Behavioral Ward. It wasn't until Stanford that I heard the word recovery in the same sentence as mental illness. Recovery is possible. And that knowledge re-sparked my fight for a real life. I had some successes, that's for sure. This last year I've had some great successes. And last January, my social worker at Resources for Independent Central Valley encouraged me to attend the Each Mind Matters California's Mental Health Movement training held at Fresno State. And there I was taught that my story would help others. And it would help break the stigma in the community about mental illness. Once again, for the first time in years, once again, I felt like my words had merit and meaning. That training, that gave me the courage to apply for the Community Leadership Academy created by Resources for Independence. There, I learned that folks with disabilities make up 20% of the American population, but less than 0.5%, fewer than 0.5%, are active in community leadership programs. Imagine that 20% of the nation not having a voice, not knowing they can have a voice in their community. The program trained me to participate on boards and develop leadership skills. It is the only program like it, and I am so fortunate. It is located in my hometown of Fresno. Soon after Academy graduation, and by the way, I felt such great pride and accomplishment, oh my goodness. I applied for and went through the process to become a Resources Board member. That I was a consumer wasn't a detriment, but a welcome addition. Even with my disability, I can make a difference and help others. A few weeks later, I was recommended by resources to sit on the California State Council on Developmental Disabilities Area 8 Board, and soon after was appointed by Governor Jerry Brown. My intention is to advocate on a personal level, legislative action, and systematic change. Today, and every day is a successful struggle to wellness. I focus on what I can do, not what I can't do. I've learned that sharing my story not only helps those who are faced with mental challenges, but it also helps me in my healing process. Life isn't like it was before, but it's still a whole life. It's similar to yours, and it's different than yours. It's a worthy life.